Universal truth number 6. Our minds tend towards the worst place. Now, what do I mean by that? Here's the thing. Over thousands of years, as human beings, we've adapted in many different ways. We have the whole fight or flight reflex. And what ends up happening, if all of a sudden we think we're in danger, very often we'll either fight and do battle and try to eliminate the threat, or we try to run. We try to avoid said threat as well. And the reason why I bring this up is because very often on the internet, and this is something that's happened to me very often, it's like I'll see a comment. The comment may very often not even be directed towards myself. And especially if it's negative, I obviously assume that the person is referring to me, even if it's just somewhere else in the comment chain. You see this very often on YouTube, because if you respond to somebody else's comment, very often if somebody else responds in that comment chain, you see something. And if it's negative, very often, at least my mind goes, are they talking about me? I believe this is an adaptive function that we have as human beings. Is similar to the fight or flight reflex, because if somebody's saying something not nice, all of a sudden we get into all like these comment chains, these flame wars, and it's not like something like, I don't know, Twitter would perpetuate that and maybe explain a lot of this drama, this anxiety that we feel towards one another on the internet, and why very often we kind of go along with our groups, because we like to know who our friends are, we like to know who our enemies are, because if they're friends, they're just joshing with us. But if they're our enemies, they're obviously the worst people in the world, because they're outside our known group. So this is, I would relate this to kind of the old meme of, it's like, well, cars hate pedestrians. Pedestrians hate cars, but they both hate people who ride bikes. The people that ride bikes are often kind of the moderates, those folks of us who are more in the center here. Why? Because we're not necessarily completely signaling that we're on one side or another. Because if you're on my side, well, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. And if you're not on my side, well, I got to be completely uncharitable and assume malice. Why? This is one of those things, and it's very interesting, because while I was listening to Professor Jordan Peterson's first book, Maps of Meaning, he actually brings up a concept that I believe was founded by a Russian psychologist. It's called the Orientin reflex. And what this is a part of the brain, and they can actually measure the brain function, as I fade in and out of existence here, that basically when a person is confronted with a novel stimulus, basically something that they aren't really familiar with, let's say a one-eyed, one-horned flying purple people eater. If you ain't never seen a one-eyed, one-horned flying purple people eater, your mind kind of goes into chaos. It's like, what's going on here? Is this thing going to eat me? Can I eat it? Is it a threat? And your mind literally goes into chaos. However, when that same individual is exposed to that same stimulus about 15 times in a row, it ends up being normalized. I'd equate this out to kind of like, we all have a friend that's kind of an a-hole or something like that. When you first meet him, you're like, I really wasn't a big fan of them, but as you got to know them, it ends up being normalized. And you're like, they can be kind of an a-hole, but they're pretty chill and everything like that, and you're able to get along. You're able to tolerate them. You're able to coexist together as well. However, what they also found is if that same stimulus is slightly modified, let's say it was a one-eyed, one-horned, flying orange people eater, that your mind ends up devolving back into that same zone of chaos, because it is not that same stimulus, so you need to become more accustomed to this. And if this truly is a function of our adaptation and our inner workings of our mind, then I think it explains a lot. Because, I mean, I know this happens to me all the time. It still happens to me, even though I'm making this video when I'm trying to pretend like I actually know what the heck I'm talking about and stuff. But I'm just putting this out there just to put things in perspective. So rather than assuming that most folks are bad people, this is why my third tenet of humanity is I believe most folks are good people. Why would I assume ill will unless somebody gives me a reason to? How about the next time you receive a little bit of criticism or something on the internet, rather than assuming the person's out to get you, maybe they have a point. Maybe we should look in ourselves and consider, oh, am I wrong? And you know what? Sometimes those folks that you may have viewed as an adversary, maybe they could end up being a friend. Just something to think about. So that's all I got for now. Thank you all for watching. Peace out, everybody. Stay safe, and long live the elbow bump.